Hey guys, Tarke here, and today I want to announce a few changes happening to Baeclast and kind of explain how Baeclast functions, since we're going forward with a new core lineup, and I wanted to announce when the next episode will be, and kind of sort of explain how Baeclast works and some changes I'm going to make to how I select guests for Baeclast, since there seems to be quite a lot of confusion. So to start off, both Noogie and Octavian are joining Rise and myself as the core four people who will hopefully be on every episode, at least for a while forward. When we first started Baeclast over a year ago, our core lineup was Rise, Cute Dog, Ziggy, Yoji, and myself. So we started with a 5-person lineup, and we went with that for a really long time. Yoji, we always knew we wouldn't have for too long, because he was transitioning out of the PvC and doing more IRL stuff, so we knew we wouldn't have him for too long there. So we then went down to a 4-person lineup, and then we had people not be able to make certain days or whatever. Ziggy, I fucking love Ziggy. I'd have Ziggy on every single episode, but Ziggy's actually a very successful human being, so he's regularly flying off for random trips and whatever. So we started having issues where Ziggy couldn't make every episode reliably, Cute Dog couldn't always make every episode reliably. So we started, I can't remember exactly how many episodes in we were, but we started sort of subbing people in regularly, and then we moved into kind of like a rotating cast. Me and Rise, I think Rise only ever missed like one episode the whole time. Me and Rise subbing people in and out. That's very fun, but to be honest, having that constant sub in out thing, it's really stressful on my end. So we went with this lineup of just me and Rise, subbing people in and out. And while it's always fun being able to tailor every single episode around different discussion points, you often run into this thing where if you bring on too many new people at once, especially if they've never done like a podcast before or even Baeclast before, because we have a very particular style, we're very informal, we often like talk over each other and whatever. People can often be quite like on edge on their first episode. I think a really good example of that was we did a 5-person episode a league or so back, which was Rise, Ziz, Waggle, Havoc, myself. Ziz had been on, I think, once before. Havoc hadn't been on before, and Waggle hadn't been on before. So that was a 5-person episode with 2 people who'd never been on before, and then someone who hadn't been on in a really long time. And during that episode, there was a lot of like people talking over each other but not being able to get points across, people often cutting each other off. Another thing which really didn't help there is both Waggle and Havoc didn't have cameras, and from that point we made the rule that like we're only having people on who have cameras, because when you can see someone, you can see when someone's about to say something, and when you factor in like Discord lag, like slight MS and stuff, just being able to see someone like do that, you really know what's going on. So when we did that change, we also went down to a 4-person lineup, and the topics felt a lot cleaner. There was much less kind of disorganized chaos going on. However, Rise in particular and myself actually really missed going back to the core 5-people lineups, having more regular people on, having the same people on over and over and over again. Because when you have the same people on over and over and over again, you build a real good rapport, you get really good chemistry, and you get the better discussions. So with that, we decided we wanted to go back to having a core 4-people lineup, having 4-people episodes, as like most episodes, 4-people episodes. Then we have something special to talk about, for example, like the last episode where we had Empyrean on, where we wanted him on because he's just going insane with Delve. We then bring on a 5th specialist guest. So that's kind of like the core lineup we're going with now. So Noogie, Octavian, Rise, and myself, then bring on a 5th specialist guest when appropriate. Now, how do I go about selecting guests? Here is a list, I believe, of everyone we've ever had a guest on. And also, for the record, I don't do the overlays. A guy called Nate Pervasion has done all of our overlays for all nearly 30 episodes now, and he's an absolute genius and is just a really cool dude. So here's everyone we've had on previously. I've never blacklisted anyone. Anyone who's been here is more than welcome to come back any single time. There's no ill will between me and anyone on here. So if you're like, why hasn't this person been on recently? They just haven't been on recently. If you feel like I have slighted you in any sense, then please do just message me directly and we can talk it out. But I just want to exaggerate, there's no ill will between me and anyone on here. If anyone hasn't been on here for a while, it's just because they haven't been on for a while. There's no weird bullshit. People like to stir up drama constantly. There's no drama as far as I'm concerned. Now, usually what happens, and why you often see a lot of the same guests, so example of someone who comes on quite a lot, would be like Grim comes on quite a lot, Carve comes on quite a lot, Uber comes on quite a lot. Obviously, like, I have favorites in the fact that it's like, I fucking love Carve, and any excuse to get Carve on Baeclast is a fucking win as far as I'm concerned. And also, if I know someone very well and I know that they're going to be available and they're easy to contact, I'm going to message them right away because I know they can come into guest spot to talk about certain things. Now, what I actually want to change about the guest system to make it a bit more inclusive, and so that I'm not always pulling to the same people all the time, just like I do tend to do sometimes, I'm going to change the system a little bit. So, if you have something that you think that only you know about, so if you're like, I am the #1 crafter on Standard, or I'm the only person who knows a lot about this thing, message me on Twitter. This is for content creators, not just random Twitch plebs, unless you can like really convince me you're worth being on there. But yeah, send me a DM on Twitter. Be like, hey, I haven't been on in a while, or I haven't been on before. You know, this is who I am. I can really fucking talk about this, and I know that I can fucking talk about this. And then I'd be like, all right, cool. And I'll line you up to appear when we then have that discussion. I've wanted to have Slippery Jim on for a while, and I spoke to him about it, and we're going to have him on when we do an MF-centric episode. We just haven't got round to doing an MF-centric episode. But that's kind of how it works. So, like, there'll be certain people in my head, like, if I want to talk about a topic, I'll go to that person. So, for example, lifting has done a lot of stuff with lab. So if there are ever any, like, major lab changes, and I wanted someone to talk about lab, I'd be like, lifting's perfect for that. For example, when they did the major trap rework, I was like, I want Pox on that episode because Pox has done loads of trap stuff in the past. If I want to do something all about summoners, I want someone like Uber Elite on. If I want to do someone who's got loads of bossing experience, I'll go to someone like Waggle. You kind of get how it kind of goes. So like in my own head, I have a list of like who's good for what. But if you know that you're one person who has like really good knowledge for this one thing and you want to be on Baeclast, just send me a message and I'll get you on. Any streamer who hasn't been on Baeclast before, it hasn't been because I haven't been interested or whatever. Again, I've never said no to someone asking to be on Baeclast. There have been lots of streamers I've asked in the past to come on who've said no to us. Mathel, please come on Baeclast. We want you on Baeclast. For the more GGG side of stuff, like why isn't Bex come on? You keep saying you want Bex on. Bex is very nervous about coming on. Very understandably so. She recently did a Front Seat Gamer podcast and absolutely killed it on that, and I've spoken to her about it, and she's feeling a lot more like buzzed about doing Baeclast. It will happen eventually. We had Chris on going into Incursion League, and that was really cool. I'm also trying to organize, with the help of Bex, Chris to come on again before the big December patch. Ideally, if I can, I'll try and get someone from GGG to come on like before every big announcement to kind of like hype up the announcement, answer questions, so on and so forth. Sometimes there's, scheduling stuff, it doesn't work out. Again, a lot of stuff with Baeclast, if something hasn't happened, it's just because of scheduling. That's 90% of what it is. I've seen some really crazy conspiracy theories on, like, this is why this happened, or this is why that. It's generally just, like, scheduling issues, or, something went wrong last minute, I haven't been very well, so I've gone, I'm going to get this guy because I know this guy can fill that slot, no problem. Basically, if there's one thing you take away from this, Tarke has favourite peoples to fill his holes. But yes, going forward, our core lineup is going to be Noogie, Octavian, Rise QT, and this pleb. The next episode is going to be happening on Monday. The reason why it's happening on Monday and not Saturday is Rise has recently been taking a sabbatical from streaming, and he doesn't get back to his normal setup until like Saturday night or something, so obviously we can't do it that day. So we're going to do it on Monday at 2 p.m. Timer will be linked in the description, and after that we'll go back to Saturdays, and they usually happen every 2 weeks. If there's something really hot and pressing to talk about, sometimes we bring it forward a week. If there's been a scheduling thing, like someone's away or for whatever reason, or if I'm away or whatever, we push it out to 3 weeks. And yes, every 2 weeks, usually Saturday at 2 p.m. Next one is on Monday. If you want to be on Baeclast, hit me up on Twitter. If you don't want to be on Baeclast, but you want to see cat pics, follow me on Twitter. I'm Tarke. Baeclast, by the way. Mathel, please come on Baeclast. Bex, please come on Baeclast. Have a good day. Bye-bye.